not mention the prosecution's perjury. Here's a quote. On an objection, you overrule it. The prosecution accepts their witness committing perjury. It's improper, it's unethical, you said you're not going to tolerate it, and I object, and you make it clear to the jury that my objection you find annoying. It's very clear that the tone that we get when we make an objection that should be sustained is, what are you doing? That's what was said. You specifically...
Lower your voice and don't yell at me. I told you before. I'll listen to what you say. Speak in a normal tone of voice.
Judge, we're doing the best we can to make sure that this trial is ethically conducted. They have repeated, I've objected, you told them it's improper. You overruled repeated objections where they are saying improper things. He just said a moment ago, this is a direct quote, the prosecution accepts their witness committing perjury. I object. You respond, that's appropriate comment on the evidence. It is not appropriate comment on the evidence, Your Honor. I don't know if you didn't hear it.
I didn't hear that.
So, Judge,
What I heard, I could have been wrong, what I heard was that Mr. Tacopina was describing Relly as committing perjury.
Judge, that's a direct quote. The direct quote was, the prosecution accepts their witness committing perjury. Here's another one. Relly committed extortion. There is no legal...
Do you think the jury's going to ask for what the legal description of extortion is?
Your Honor.
Forcing someone to pay money, that is, quote, extortion.
No, Your Honor.
Go on to something else.
Your Honor, I want to make my record. I mean, you're going to do what you're going to do, but I have a right to make my record. No lawyer can get up here, no lawyer can get up here and tell the jury that a crime has been committed when there is no instruction on that crime. When in fact, Your Honor, that's not the legal definition of extortion. We've objected, and the court again is basically telling me, don't worry about it, it doesn't matter. Your Honor, it does matter. After a while, when there are so many of these things, they add up. And when the court is saying, wow, what they don't care about it.
No, I didn't say they don't care about it.
It seems, Your Honor, it's improper argument. And the problem is
I don't agree with you. I think using the word, quote, extortion to describe the conduct is not improper. I think it's fair comment on the evidence. You, in your rebuttal argument, you can say it wasn't extortion.
Your
You
Honor,
can address it.
Your Honor, the bigger issue, as I said, is the court repeatedly told them, do not connect the prosecution to committing crime.
I'll tell you what, I didn't hear that. I'm going to ask Kathy for the exact quote. If that's what was said, I'm going to sustain your objection, and I will apologize for overruling.
Judge, can I respond, please, on that one issue? Not everything else you said. What I said was, and I agree with what I said, but understand the context of it, okay? I didn't say this is more perfect. I didn't say it yesterday, I didn't say it today. But one thing I said, and it was fair comment, was the prosecution accepts their witness committing perjury. And what I mean by that is in regards to one thing, and it's indisputable, Your Honor. It was regarding Relly saying the tape was fake. The tape was fake. They got up, cross-examined Mr. Sajemi, did not ask him if the tape was fake or not, okay? They then put up transcripts of that tape recording with attributions to Mr. Efron. So that means by that, just by that very fact, they accept the fact that he committed perjury. I'm not saying they support it, but they accept that that witness committed perjury. They have to. Let me finish. There's no other way for them to move forward unless they say that wasn't perjury, but it was because he said that was fake. We know that wasn't fake. It was real. That was perjury. So by then moving forward with it, arguing that that tape is important for the prosecution, that Efron said these things, that when they cross-examined Mr. Jemmy, that wasn't being a good friend to Efron because he made a tape. All that is doing is, I didn't say it's subordinate, it's different. I would never say that, I didn't say it yesterday. What it is doing is accepting it, because they didn't say, we have an issue with this witness, he's committed perjury. I said they accepted their witnesses committing perjury. That witness committing perjury on that one issue. That's fair comment, Your Honor. It's not inappropriate. It wasn't disparaging counsel. I didn't say Mr. Lewin. I just said they accepted, and that is true. There's no other way around it.
It is not fair comment. It is completely unethical.
Oh,
I agree with you.
So, Your Honor,
I agree with you.
What's frightening is Mr. Tacopina just stood up here and basically defended and said, yeah, I said it, but I can say it. He doesn't know or care about the law. That is clear. And Your Honor, when it's happened 25 times in this trial, with the hiding of evidence, with the late discovery, and with repeated, you told counsel before we started, do not disparage the other side. I said yesterday, you argue what you want about witnesses. You say a witness lied. You do not disparage counsel. You repeated it yesterday. He tried to explain how he didn't make mistakes yesterday, which he did. Now he gets up and he's now admitted, yes, I made that comment, here's why it's appropriate. Your Honor, it's not appropriate. It's completely unethical. It is immoral, and it's not professional. And again, Your Honor, the fact that he is getting up here saying, well, yeah, I said it, here's why, just demonstrates again, he doesn't know the law or doesn't care.
You're disparaging him right now.
I'm disparaging him because, Your Honor, he's not following the
There
rules
is not to be any disparaging of either side.
during argument. The jury's not here. I have every right, obligation, and duty to stand up here and point out when he was being unethical. The first time the court catches me being unethical, Your Honor, the court knows. That'll be the first time. The court knows I don't do that.
Oh,
court knows. Court's already made those findings.
I've heard enough from both of you. I missed the prosecution accepts their witness committing perjury. I don't think that's fair comment on the evidence. I think that's an improper statement. It infers that the prosecution is allowing perjury to occur. I'm going to sustain your objection, and I'm going to apologize for overruling it, and then move on. If I were the two of you, I would just move on and not make bring it to the jury's attention. I would point out, though, I told you at the beginning of arguments that if an objection is made, I'm going to do my best to call it as I see it. You have made 17 objections. I have overruled 12. I have sustained 5. I'm doing the best I can. I will continue to do the best I can, and that's all I can say.
I just want to put on the record that, these remarks about being unethical is not just about had it with him. This from a lawyer who, and I was sustained essay on it, this from a lawyer who asked in front of a jury for a stipulation that a shooting range was not in California when either he knew it was in California or had no idea that it was in California. Okay? So he literally asked for a stipulation in front of a jury that he knew was not true or didn't know if it was true. And that's unethical. That's unethical. And this is a guy who, the Ninth Circuit just said lied to a jury in the Branford case.
Your Honor,
so
Your
I
Honor,
want to
Your
hear
Honor.
about him.
One more thing out of him, and we air everything that's happened in this case, which the court's aware of.
Stop it.
He might want to stop.
I'm so threatened.
You should be, Joe.
Oh, yeah.
Let's take a break.
You should be.
Don't tell the courts ever told me I was a liar.
Hold on the whole time. Hey!
Oh, yeah. I'm so scared of you.
Stop it!
Oh!
My God. I think the judge needs to come back in like a fight referee uniform.
I know.
Yeah.
I think I tell you, I love it. I mean, well, this started out because after they started to take the break. I know you were watching, but for those of our viewers who are just coming in, Joe made the argument that we've been making because Relly said in the tape, "I need a lawyer to get the bag," or something called extortion, right? So apparently, because Joe was talking about this case is extortion, this case is about extortion, the prosecution said that does not satisfy what he did if he did it, the legal definition of extortion. Therefore, it's improper comment. Okay? That's ridiculous, Michael. It's ridiculous.
Of course it is. It's a desperate move is what it is. And, I guess what he would have felt better if he said, it's a shakedown. Instead of saying extortion, he could say shakedown because that's not an official crime.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, that's ridiculous.
Yes. So what is that? We keep saying it's extortion because that's what he says. He says it's extortion, and it's used as a shakedown, right?
And there's
it's
a common sense understanding and definition of extortion, and
right.
Lewin is suggesting it doesn't meet the criminal definition. Big effing deal,
Right.
But that's what happens when you're desperate. That's what happens, and then Joe, he knows how to needle this guy. Obviously, right. they could go to blows, and I will still take Joe. But he talks about, Lewin just had a big case reversed against him because of some unethical behavior. And so when he digs that up and throws it in Lewin's face, Lewin goes off.
Right,
So
right. And then he goes off, and you can see him. Our chat was noticing that he started bobbing and weaving because Joe's taking probably a little longer. But I think what's happening is he sees that Lewin is going off. We went from the judge said there's 17 objections, which I kind of like because that was my number, and
yeah,
he's
but I have like
and to say,
30.
I have 30 also. I have 30
So,
with 8 being sustained, so I have it a lot, but he doesn't. The judge, so I guess we have to go with the official judge
and he
count.
said he's
We'll
doing
keep
the
our
best
own.
he can. Well, I think he nodded off during a couple of them. This is a closing argument, and the judge has admitted a few times, I don't remember, everything that was said. I don't. If you have an issue, we'll have the court reporter. I think her name is Kathy.
Kathy,
She's
right?
probably thanks, Judge. Thanks for throwing me under the bus on this. We can ask her. She can read it back, and we can find out. I think, and I mean this with all respect to all judges, when they get to closing arguments, they feel like they can kind of take a breather, because it's closing argument, and there's usually more latitude, and very seldom are there 17 objections, 30 objections. And I think he's caught a little off guard because he's required to be a little more attentive than maybe he usually would be.
Well, I think also he's just tired of it. I mean, you got the feeling
everybody's tired of it.
He's tired of not enjoying. He's tired of Lewin's going off now. He can't take the fact. See, Joe's hit the meat of the case today, right? He kind of set it up. He set the stage, and he's the meat of the case: perjury. And he went through they didn't show it to you. They didn't show it to you. They didn't. And then the judge at one point told Lewin, "Don't argue with me. Don't argue with me." Right? I mean, he said that to him. Right? I mean, what are we doing here? I mean, if he's got a boss named Hochman, Hochman. I keep mispronouncing his name, and I apologize, DA Hochman. I apologize. I mean, this boss should, be calling him in right now because, in my opinion, he's embarrassing this office. They should have left it. They should have left it Paulie P. Doing this case because Paulie P. had some credibility, right? I mean, Lewin is. I can't wait to see how he's going to go off on his rebuttal.
It's going to be crazy. Here's a phrase that you'll appreciate: Lewin is on tilt.
Right? I do appreciate.
Am I right?
Yes, because when poker players lose and they get bad beats, sometimes they go what we call on tilt, which means they then start playing hands crazy because they can't take it on tilt. Also, it's also if you play a pinball machine, right?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, I think poker stole it from pinball because
right.
Back in the day, that's all we had as games were pinball games. I remember playing them at the ice rink, roller rink.
I love pinball. I still love pinball.
We would be so mad because I learned later when I bought a couple of pinball machines and was working on them. There's a little pendulum in there, and if it swings too rapidly, it'll hit the edge. It's a metal edge, and that'll tilt. And you can adjust that because it's like shaped like a cone. So if it's adjusted toward the bottom, the small cone, if it's toward the top, it's big. So, you would be mad if the management adjusted it too tightly that you could barely move it because being able to move the game is part of playing pinball.
That's right. That's right.
So, anyway.
Yeah.
But he's on tilt. There is no doubt about it.
What's the Rod Serling show, Twilight Zone? Because that's the pinball machine that we had. Actually,
you had a Twilight Zone pinball machine?
We had a Twilight Zone pinball machine, and I had the how you fixed it, and all the drawings and all. I would get in there and do it. It's unbelievable.
There. Nowadays, of course, it's all on a chip the size of your thumbnail. It's tiny.
But the old way was like
wires everywhere, circuits. Oh yeah, it was fascinating. I had a Playboy Club one, so I don't know. It's basically the same.
A little different than Twilight Zone, but the same kind of thing.
Okay, can I say this about Joe? One thing he said today that I appreciated because it was almost like he was listening to me. He apologized to the jury because he said, "You might think I'm going too long here, but I owe it to my client to cover everything that I think is important that you understand. So this may feel a little bit, long, but I'm doing what I think I have to do for my client." I can respect that, and I think the jury acknowledges that. Doesn't mean they don't wish it was over, but at least they like that he acknowledged he's taking more of their time than maybe they think is necessary, and he's plowing through it.
Yeah, it's because that's going to be the last time I get to talk to you, and that'll become very clear when John Lewin gets on for rebuttal. Now, I have a question. Well, first of all, we should announce that we are going to be having, and Missy can update everybody with the time, Chris Tacopino, who is on X Twitter, Tacopino C, right? Isn't that right, Missy? And he is going to be on our show. This is an exclusive first time he's going to be on the air. He's not part of the defense team. He's not a lawyer, but he is Joseph Tacopino's son.
He's like a sports guy. I think he represents the
Florida
the
Panthers,
hockey team.
isn't it?
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. They
Yeah.
won the Stanley Cup last year.
Yeah, so we
Yeah.
can't wait. We can't wait to have him on. And as soon as we have the exact time, because remember he's working, so it's got to be during his lunch hour. For this,
Yeah,
this is
and we'll
great.
work it out.
By the
Yeah.
way, could you two please stay on camera and hold our hands while everybody? I said, didn't I say yesterday? Is there some kind of spray? I think I may have said it to you probably. Is there some kind of spray that consists of like that lithium, Valium, and Xanax that they can spray in the courtroom before you get? We're all going to need it.
Yes,
I'm sitting here in New
everybody
York.
take one. Everybody
Yeah,
take one.
and I can't wait till I get calls, because you know I'm going to get calls about our coverage. All right. I mean,
Oh, I hope so.
Yeah. Oh, I hope so too, because then we're going to say, let's go on the air and talk publicly, right?
So I'm looking forward to hearing from Chris, really on a personal level, like, what's Thanksgiving dinner like? I mean, what's it like in the Tacopina household? Those are the penetrating questions I have.
I want to ask him, first of all, how does it feel to watch your father on this, especially with Lewin? I mean, I think Joe held us cool, and then we get the end here now. This is unbelievable, this conversation, and the judge just like, the judge was like, stop it with Lewin, stop it.
Even as the camera pans up to the seal, even as the judge is leaving the courtroom, he's still yelling at them, just stop it.
Right.
He's going to go on vacation after this trial.
I think he may go on vacation.
What's interesting with Joe, it's symbolic, but Joe takes off his jacket. That's like what you do in a bar fight. When you're getting ready to mix it up, you take your jacket off. He's taking his jacket off in court because he is at least verbally ready to pound Lewin.
Yeah, I mean, Lewin said, "You're accusing me of unethical conduct. Are you accusing us? That's objection. This is unfair." Well, look, when you're a prosecutor, I don't know about you, Michael, but as a prosecutor, if you bring a case based on perjured testimony or there's perjury in the trial, you can't go forward. You got to go upstairs and
not if
report
you've
it
got
to the big guy.
any ethics, not if you've got any sense of right and wrong, not if you try to do the right thing. There was a question here, and I think I lost it. I think
I was responsible for a unit, and when I watched a hearing one time, I saw that one of the investigators in that unit, they didn't report to me. I just was the lawyer, and then they report to their command chief. But I saw that his testimony was inaccurate, and I went upstairs and reported it to the prosecutor. Now, whether I said this is false. This is not true. This is not right. And then things happen after that. But you take your own career into hand, but you have to have that ethics. You have to.
Of course. And I always think, because I just finished my continuing legal education for.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yeah, I just finished mine. It's every 3 years. It's necessary. I get it, but you have to have a certain amount. I think it's 1 or 2 hours. I can't remember of ethics training. That's part of it. It's also true for real estate broker license, which I have. So there's a real crossover there. My point is, I think I could take any ethics test right now without any sort of, planning or schooling, because to me, ethics is in here, and it from the start.
You're right.
It's not like, oh, I'm going to learn something, and now all of a sudden I'm ethical. Hey, no, I think you either are or you're not.
Yeah. No, I know. Oh my goodness gracious!
Okay, here's Sheila. This has your name on it, but we can both talk about it. Can really be charged with perjury. Is one question, will is another, right?
Right.
Technically, yes. How often, if ever, have you seen a standalone perjury charge? Usually it's tacked on to some other series of charges that quite often goes away ultimately when things are resolved. Have you ever seen a standalone perjury charge pursued?
I actually have. And I don't remember the circumstances about it, but I have.
It went to trial, or it just?
Yeah, no, I think it had something to do with somebody going back on their deal and saying something that was different than was on a deal that they were supposed to give, and then got charged with perjury. So I think I've seen it, if I recall, I've seen it in that context, but not just. But that's the kind of context. So AFI, Black Letter Law, is posted what this is about after and let me just read it and then give her credit. After a contentious discussion with the judge about the prosecution suborning perjury, here's what happened. Tacopino raised his voice and brought up the Branford case. I think that's the one in the National Enquirer article, right?
That's the one I mentioned. Yes, where he was. Yeah.
And it was reversed, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Or-
because of his conduct.
His conduct. Lewin, one more word out of him and we're airing everything in this case and the court knows about it. Your time is coming, buddy. That's what Lewin says. Tacopina, oh, I'm so scared of you. You know, everyone's worried about you. Everyone's worried about your mental health. Lewin, any idea when you'll be finished? Taco, whenever the F you I want. Lewin, the steroids are really affecting you. Tacopino, you're hunched like a hunchback. The judge notes that Lewin has made 17 objections, over 12, sustained 5. Okay, so this is it. So he's got Joe has his number. Joe has him. He knows all about this guy, right? That's what's going on here. He knows all about him, and he knows what he's not going to take what Lewin usually does to other attorneys. He's just not going to take it.
And the thing with Lewin is he's got the dirty laundry.
Right.
He's got the history. He's got what people in this case can see.
Yeah.
And he's trying to. All he's got is to attack Joe physically, right? That's all he's got. I mean, you got nothing of substance. You go after somebody's appearance or their style. But Tacopina has the goods on Lewin because he's been caught before.
Yeah, Crystal Allen says Lewin said all he needed to say first. Now his rebuttal won't mean a thing because everything Joe said are facts with no receipts. Well, the whole point is that Joe is trying to undo what he knows Lewin's going to do, which is going to get up there and rant and rave, right, about everything.
Of course, very loudly, very boisterous. Yeah, very dramatic. Yeah, it's coming. Yeah. It might be entertaining, but for the wrong reason.
Right. Oasis Cat says, London Michael, I hope you have Afi on again. So she can tell us about what she just tweeted about the boys fighting again. I think we were supposed to have her on, Missy.
We did definitely ask her to come on when it was over.
When it was over, because
I know she was ill, missed a day or two earlier this week.
Right. Remember, the judge said he expected the jury to get this case for the judge.
Oh yeah, they're getting it today. I just can't wait to see when he pulls the plug on Lewin, or starts leaning on him. I was actually surprised that Judge Arnold didn't say something to Joe, like, can you give us an estimate how much time he got left? Because I thought when they were looking at the clock at about 11:45 Pacific time, the judge was asking, do we break here? And he asked Joe whether, do you have a few more minutes? And I know Joe was not interpreting that as to finish. It was can I do a few more minutes before we take a break? And that's what he did. A few more minutes, then they took a break. But I think the judge was asking, how much more time do you have in total?
Well, I was looking at his, because I've been there with the notebook. And that's, by the way, if you've ever worked with Richard Gabriel, that's what you have. You have that notebook in front of you and with the pages. And it looks like he's gone through most of his pages. So
yeah,
a little inside information for you.
There was, I always like to see the classic chestnuts that get drink, that these guys drop in there. One of them was truth never changes. That's always a good one.
Oh, that was a good one, right?
That's always a classic. The truth never changes. Yeah.
And Peterson, I've been watching a channel from my TV for a while. I just learned how to comment. You guys are so knowledgeable. I learned so much from you guys. I'm a diehard trial watcher. Thank you very much, because you know what? I had to be told, because we stream on something and then it gets pulled into YouTube by our great producers, Dizzy and Missy. But I can see your comments and Michael can see your comments, but we can't comment on your comments. So then we have to open our YouTube channel and open a chat box. And I was a little confused about that in a while. So now I too have now learned how to comment. I try to comment sometimes when we're not on the air. Okay. So, anyhow, so
I don't know if I'm going to throw this up here, because I'm not sure if it came up earlier, but Brooklyn with a super chat sticker thing. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. And I hear the mug is already in use. I hear that Brooklyn's mug already serving duty.
Yeah. Did we miss that? If you have a super chat and we missed it, please. We're trying to go through. We've been doing a lot of stuff here this morning, as you can imagine, and Missy and Dizzy have been helping, and Missy's been like doing artwork, and she's been talking to Chris Tacopino to get when he can come on, and keeping up with that. And
yes, that's the great interview coming. I just referenced
the great interview coming. So if we missed one of the super chatters, please, try. Just tell us, to say I put a super chat up there and go look for it or something.
Hey, happy Valentine's Day.
Thank you so much. Thank you very, very, very much. I appreciate it.
So I gave the bride, Lisa, a nice blue box, right?
Did you get a Tiffany box?
No, it just had some gummy bears in it, but it's a beautiful box. Okay, so check this out. This is how pathetic I am. Okay, check this out. sometimes you find a card and it just feels like it's the right card. I mean, there are people that do greeting cards for a living. That's their life. And sometimes you just find one that seems to work. So I find this one. It's a cute little card, talks about how, we're so busy. Sometimes we forget to appreciate one another, blah, 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 right? One of those. I thought it was such a good card. So I give her that card. And then she says, wait a minute. That's the card you got me last year. I got the same card twice.
Oh my gosh!
So
Well, I guess
I really
liked
liked it. Yeah, and I apparently have some short-term memory loss. So anyway,
But
they
you got
say
a
it's
little
the thought
blue
that
box.
counts.